Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LCK, and you might not expect this if you didn't watch game number 1, but Griffin have, in fact, upset T1 in game number 1 of their series tonight, and it was a wild ride. It certainly flipped over. That roller coaster, it went up, and the tension was building, and we were going on our way down, and we expected T1 to just finish it off. But then we went for another whole wild ride as Viper was able to kite and auto them all down, and a really nice teleport as well from UCal into the back line to put the pressure on the base of T1. So all in all, T1 with a massive advantage, not able to close things out here in game 1, LS.
No, and very uncharacteristic performance by them. Again, we were saying at the end of last game, they're known for late game and just overall resilience in the face of making reckless plays or ones that could be seen as variants. Obviously, Faker at the very end, I don't believe he got his R off, which is very changing. But you remember when he also had the Baron, he walked straight into Viper and ended up dying. And that was a bit perplexing, as Viper does pick up the player of the game on the Varus. He was able to just do so much inside of this game at so many different points. Even the bot lane teamfight dealing so much damage to Teddy. As I believe that's actually this one. Started this up with Chains of Corruption. And at this point, effort went down immediately. This was the pickoff onto Faker, which I don't know what he was thinking, obviously, at that location. This was a really good knockup by Tarzan to catch Faker mid-air. Couldn't quite issue the commands. And think about a world where Kana was able to just deal a little bit more damage to UCal and bring him down. This would look so much different, as Varus does bring down the Renekton. Had Renekton lived as well, Faker surely would have been able to respawn and maybe save the game. But was a 9 out of 9 unanimous vote for Viper as the player of the game.
Yeah, and you consider the fact that the majority of the game we had no action, and he was still able to pull off over 1,000 damage per minute in a 39-minute game is pretty insane, because that means in every single team fight he was doing unbelievable amounts of damage. And he was basically like the fountain turret of this game. It's something we talked about a lot with Root on the side of Janair in the past, but he was just sitting there in the face of multiple big tanky boys, and he was like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'm just gonna auto you down and take you down one by one, and absolutely deserves that player of the game. And immediately the Varus is banned.
Varus getting taken away. Griffin banning Olaf is extremely confusing on red side. Probably going to ban away Aphelios and Callista, I would assume, after that. I don't think there's any reason to give either one over to T1, as now Lucian is being banned. And maybe this isn't because of Viper, but more so Hoya. Not entirely sure what could be the reason behind it, as Tara gets banned away. So they're potentially okay with giving over Callista, but they don't want to give over the Callista-Tara combo.
Yeah, and we did see it banned in game number 1 too. They just do not like effort on the Taric in general. They do not want to have that be played in this game. This last ban for T1 will be interesting. I'd like to see what they do focus. They are going to take away Set, so they're not considering first picking that for their team. That does get taken off the board, but there's a lot available here. I think you absolutely have to ban Aphelios in that spot. He has proven in the past couple of days even that even after his nerfs, it doesn't matter. He's still a gigantic piece of overpowered champion, let's just say.
He's a living weapon.
Yeah, he really is. It's crazy what he can do.
So Callista is going to be locked in now for T1. Griffin immediately respond with Senna, Tahm Kench. And so now if T1 can find the mage button, you know it's not coming though. You know Braum or Nautilus is on the agenda.
The mage button?
Hold on, just give it a second.
Have you seen Effort's champion pool?
Are you ready or what for Trundle Nautilus or Trundle Braum?
I think it's going to be Trundle Leona. Maybe they won't pick Leona here. Maybe they'll go like Trundle Azir, and then they'll pick Leona in the second phase. I could see that happening.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. It's gonna be the Trundle Azir locked in for T1, and Griffin now responding with LeBlanc. She does have a pretty good win rate here in LCK. Stats don't always tell a story. Win percent 72.2%. Obviously, some of that coming from Faker himself. LeBlanc is a counter to the Azir, also a really good champion for trying to blow up the Callista in the later stages of the game. Now Griffin banning away the Ornn. They're trying to take away more scaling options from Griffin, or from T1.
Yeah. And, yeah, I love it. It takes a little bit of attitude as well to pick that directly into Faker, who has shown that LeBlanc is also extremely powerful. I think LeBlanc was even banned in game number 1. Yeah, it was the first ban. I actually commented on it. I'm like, yeah, you definitely want to take that away. But Griffin, they say, well, you're not going to play it. I guess we'll play it then. As Jarvan going to be taken off the table here. They want to target Tarzan, who seemed pretty comfortable on late game Rek'Sai, which is not something that a lot of junglers can really say.
Yeah. Banning the Jarvan is, I don't want to say a bit surprising, because what they're aiming to do is they're trying to take away all of the physical damage junglers, and Trundle will fare well against some of the remaining ones. Obviously, Lee Sin has mostly disappeared from competitive play in the last couple of weeks, as Aatrox now is being hovered. So Griffin will lock that in. So T1 has beautiful options here to counterpick both bot and top. They have the game handed over to them. Will they take it? Okay.
Oh, you mean Braum?
It's coming.
Were you talking about Braum?
Valdez, you already know that they're going to pick.
I mean, Nautilus has been... Oh, whoa.
Well, that's a bit different.
Okay.
Not
All
quite
right,
what
Edward.
I was expecting, but all right, we're getting some spiciness out of T1 here. As what is going to be the counter pick to the Aatrox. Now, is Connor willing to play Aurelia up in top lane or something? No, instead we're going to have Jace.
Yeah, Jace, I actually like it.
Well,
I like it, actually.
37.5% win rate here.
It's
Again.
only been played 8 times. That's 3 and 5.
And so everything ends up working out. Gragas ends up coming in. This gives value to building magic resistance against just the LeBlanc. So you'll have resistances against Gragas and LeBlanc. Gragas probably not going to be able to build just pure true damage.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I was saying that I like Jace is that they have a lot of scaling components. The Jace should do pretty well into the Aatrox in the lane, and then once we get later on, they would like a decent amount of bursts as well. There are a bunch of champions on Griffin's side that you can hook and immediately burst down, but Jace adds so much more burst potential. Not to mention poke. I mean, he's a champion that is known for his poke, but if you play against a good Jason lane, you'll see his burst as well. And he certainly offers both of those options here in this fight. The poke especially good against a champion like Tahm Kench, who tries to stop, you know, full-on engage.
Yeah. So take a look at the team compositions one last time. Jace, Trundle, Azir, Kalista Blitzcrank versus Aatrox, Gragas, LeBlanc, Senna, and Tahm Kench. So a lot of pressure put onto UCal this game on that LeBlanc, as in the later stages, T1 again has more scaling, and some people might scratch their head because Senna versus Kalista dynamic, but everyone on the enemy team is, for the most part, pretty short range in close quarter combat, which means Kalista will be enabled and have a lot of value. Blitzcrank also has a lot of key targets that he can reliably hit and just delete. So Griffin doesn't have a very easy time posturing in the later stages of the game, and in terms of early game power, T1 has an edge in mid lane, they have an edge in bot lane. It should mean that likely early dragons go their way as well, which can equate to a very early soul capture for T1.
Yeah, it is going to come down to what soul it is. The Ocean Soul, we thought we'd have a pretty massive... Oh, wait, I'm going to have to hold my thought here. The previous record was Score with 544 games. Faker has just now surpassed him, 545. So with this game, he is going to take the top spot. And if you look at the other names there on the list, you see Score, you see Prey, currently retired, Smeb, currently on break. Score, obviously, I didn't mention, but obviously retired. Gorilla, still playing. So is Cuvée, Kuro, Bang, and Tuesday now a streamer. So just, you know, highlight all the names there on that list, and just to highlight as well that Faker has taken that top spot. So congratulations to him.
Yeah. And also really interesting, not a lot of mid laners on that list. Was an interesting little surprise right there.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're taking a look at the player runes right now, Scorch taken by Jace up there in the top lane against Aatrox. And Aatrox, he's going to get a lot of value out of the armor boots that can end up being picked up so early on. So even Cloth Armor or Cloth Armor Tier 1 boot recall is really good for him against the Trundle, the Jace, the Kalista in the later stages. Even the on-hit of the Azir later on, as Kana just doing a really good job at spacing and trying to zone off Hoya. But at this point, third wave is coming in. Now, this is where cheater recalls can be accomplished, but Kana didn't really trade super heavily early on, so he still has all of his corrupting potions. Looks like he's actually maybe even willing to try to stack 4 waves and then maybe look for a dive with Cuz. But all of these minions means that it's impossible for him to get ganked. Cuz has freedom to go into the red side jungle of Tarzan, and now with the 4th minion wave arriving, you can see Kana starting to shove in this wave. They want to dive with a massive surplus of spellcaster minions, because if Hoya auto-attacks either Kana or Cuz, all of these spellcasters and the cannon, the melees, they can start auto-attacking Aatrox. Doesn't look like they're actually wanting to commit to it, though.
Yeah,
so
taking it slow and steady there. Cuz is going to steal away some of the Krugs instead and then back away. He's going to spot Tarzan now, and he should know exactly what his route is if he hits the tab. Learned that little neat trick from my good friend Snack. But yeah, I mean, you could see that he cleared the right side, he cleared red and Raptors, and that will be shown in the CS that he does have. So knows what exactly he did. He's able to go down there, take away that Scuttle Crab from Tarzan. Tarzan getting the bad news that his Krugs were in fact stolen, and no more action is going to take place up there.
And so at the end of it, Jace does end up being almost 10 CS up right now in top lane. just trying to keep the Adcox under pressure, but now losing out on the trades. He's going to need to recall here, and unfortunately, this sequence of events isn't going to be super bad for Hoya. He pops the second corruption potion, and now he'll go for the recall. So we'll see what kind of a Jace this is going to be. He might just go for the pure lethality and aim to sort of gun down the Gragas, LeBlanc, and Senna with the shock blasts, thus granting openings for Faker to commit harder.
Oh, Faker had to flash from that one. I suppose he didn't expect the gank from Tarzan, but he was up there without his dash and was taking a very aggressive trade against UCal, as you can see. And nearly gets caught out there, but a nice flash to safety, cuz perfect positioning as well, able to help out. Well,
Tarzan and UCal now sharing a lot of experience here in mid lane. And this is actually really problematic. UCal almost died. One auto attack away. Kana now off of the recall, got longsword, or double longsword and fairy charm to help sustain him. Hoya teleports onto the minion. And everything is sort of just going blow for blow right now. Fasting Senna down there in bot lane, not doing a super bad job. And Kana just taking his time up here in top lane. It really, I'm starting to get feelings of game number 1, Valdez.
Oh, that's good. I thought I was the only one.
UCal freezing.
I was a little bit scared. You know who actually did this in game 1 was Faker. We didn't talk about it too much, but he was getting pushed in a little bit, but he was able to freeze one wave and then slowly push from there. Denied a lot of XP from UCal in that game number 1.
Yeah, and the thing is that if UCal immediately just shoved back the wave, Faker wouldn't have to use his teleport to get back into the lane. But ends up committing it because UCal threatening a permanent freeze. UCal also has the tier 2 boots. Now, on LeBlanc, you'll do this when you're anticipating your second blue. That way you can have the most damage possible while still having your mana sustain. Otherwise, if your second blue isn't coming up or you think that you're not going to be able to get it, you would go down the route of Amp Tome with either Dark Seal or getting a Sapphire Crystal even, and looking for something like that to make work, as Tarzan looking for maybe a lane gank with Predator here. Probably not going to be able to find it. Trundle is in close proximity to the Infernal Dragon, as we're just going blow for blow across the board here.
Yeah, no kills just yet once again. You say blow for blow, it's mainly just macro objectives, lane trades and stuff like that. There is a nice little 1,000 gold lead for the side of T1. They're getting very aggressive, though, onto the blue buff. Here comes UCal, gonna miss that chains. And now T1 say, well, okay, you can have the blue. Tarzan gonna win out on that smite fight, because will have to flash here if he wants any hope of surviving. Is able to get over the wall. Faker now slowed down. A chains is going to land onto him. Effort trying to zone. There's the second chains that Effort will be able to eat up, as putting up the wall is in fact going to be effective at keeping Griffin out of their jungle. So they're able to disengage, but it was not clean in the slightest.
No, definitely not clean at all. Kana, meanwhile, up here in top lane trading pretty heavily with Hoya. And T1, I mean, they're still fine inside of this game. There's the Merc Treads completed for Faker. And so lots of value here against the LeBlanc in mid lane, as well as even the Gragas' damage, and to a lesser extent the Tahm Kench, maybe in the later stages if Tom's tongue's getting a little frisky.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
see where you're going.
Tom isn't a frog, but, you know, I mean, I'm sure he would try to catch birds if he could.
Oh, okay. Over the over the wall here, as the pillar is going to come down. Effort is going to tank too much. He will go down to just the turret, though, as no damage was done to him, and First Blood is going to be given over to the Jace.
So First Blood does go to Jace, and Hoya doesn't have teleport, which means that all of these minions are just going into the void, and so Tarzan is actually going to have to stop eating his remaining golem camp and make his way over to the minions. And he'll be the one that picks them up to stop the bleeding up there, as Kana is still staying up there in top lane. He has a 26 CS advantage right now. He is going for the lethality build. Does look like it's going to be Yumu's as the first item. Effort rotates into mid lane as T1, they do this time and time again, and at this point you have to assume that it's practiced, but it is a bit surprising that they're rotating for the Herald. Infernal Dragon is up. Faker in mid lane is going to be super healthy and able to get priority on a moment's notice if necessary. And with your Jace being so big, the trade for Herald over Infernal does sort of confuse me, because T1 should be the one to accelerate towards the Soul faster than the opponents. The Rift Herald still has a lot of time left, and it's not even like Griffin would be able to get it. So what they're going to do here is they're going to allocate all of the turret plate gold over to Teddy. First Blood turret going over to him as well. And it's going to make Kalista really big, but Griffin's Infernal Dragon will scale into the later stages of the game. It's a great trait to have for the LeBlanc, Aatrox, and the Senna. Once we make it into the mid to late game stages, it is only 4%, so it's not quite as strong as Yester seasons.
Yester seasons?
Yeah. You like that?
So like
previous seasons.
Fall.
Should have said previous seasons, yeah.
Yeah.
You like that one? Valdez? Lost speech.
You're bringing out the...
I'm not Linguist Supreme today. What?
You're not? You're lost speech?
I'm lost speech today.
Well, you're with Britton Valdez, so it's good. Got a couple nicknames. Yeah, Bronze 5. It's funny what Effort does here. He actually tanks it up. I don't know if he thought he was going to survive or if he just thought his team really needed the extra shot. So it works out in the end.
No matter what, yeah, it does end up working out. It's better for him to die than for any of his teammates in that situation. And just an unfortunate series of events. T1 do find themselves with almost a 3,000 gold advantage here. Currently at 12 minutes. They're going to start with some vision in the right-hand side jungle. Jace going back up to top lane right now. Probably just going to shove that. I'm not even going to bother saying the F word anymore. I'm done. I'm done talking about it.
What? What do you mean?
I've given up. Given up.
But you can't. You're the one bastion of hope for the region. What are we going to do if you don't mention it?
I'm not really sure all this, but
have we lost all hope?
There's only so many times that you can say that Summoner's Rift is a globe before you give up.
You know, you might be right. You might be right about this. It's sad. We see freezes in the early game. They love their lane freezes, like in mid, and actually in every occasion. We saw 2 today, or an attempted second freeze by UCal, but yeah, I don't know. I think we will see it in the future. Never give up hope.
Well, I don't think Griffin's gonna give up hope after that game number 1. I'll tell you that much.
Well, how about this top lane? I think Hoya's slowly losing hope. He's about to lose his second turret.
Okay, we got a teleport.
TP coming in. Yeah, Kana's really fast, though. But it is UCal on the LeBlanc, and unless the Jace can somehow burst him down, I don't think he's going to be having much fun. It's 3-on-1. He's going in for the play, but... Oh, my stream actually froze. I don't know if... That's a little bit awkward. I actually do not know what happened. Maybe you can take it away from here.
Yeah, so Jace did end up dying. He did get body slammed by the Gragas, unable to do anything. But in doing so, remember, that was a teleport committed by UCal up into top lane, so he misses out on some waves in mid, and then Faker also gets a lot of chip damage onto the turret, I believe even a turret plate. So you have to sort of add everything together to see what the end result is being.
All right, I'm back.
All right, welcome back.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
just the remote broadcast. The unforeseen.
I can't believe that you just did that to me. I can't believe that you just dropped that on me.
You were the lone survivor.
Listen, here's what I hope.
You're the last one left.
I hope that you order an iced coffee one day, and it comes out hot.
Why would you hope that on anyone? Oh man, that's just cruel. I can't believe you.
Yeah, well, here's the replay in case you didn't see it before. Fantastic. You like that?
That's kind of what I expected.
You felt like you missed out, right?
You know, it was a lot of damage, and that's really all we like here at the LCK. Kind of just called their bluff and said, yeah, you're probably all in that brush. Found them all. And, you know, I don't actually blame Griffin for doing that. There's not much else, because, of course, they're not going to do the F word. They're not going to freeze. So, like, what else would they do rather than camp one of the brushes where they can catch someone who's also not freezing and just pushing?
Well, they can play ping pong with the lanes, which I think, honestly, I think it's a good look for them.
Yeah? You think they should do it very often?
I'm wondering if this is maybe the sport that they play in their pastime.
Yeah.
It does seem like they are quite adept at it.
You guys, Atlas was questioning yesterday, what are the...
Paddles.
Yeah, they're paddles.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He didn't know that. I just
How
didn't
does
wanna...
he not know that? I thought he was an expert.
Right, I didn't want to show him up, you know?
In this game, I mean, he's been casting League of Legends for a while.
Yeah, I can't even know
he should know it's paddles.
I mean, of course.
Right? Like, League of Legends is ping pong. It's the same thing, so... God.
Yeah, it definitely, it definitely is a little bit perplexing. Alright, well, Red Buff not going to be able to be hooked by the Blitzcrank 4 minutes until the Mountain Dragon comes up. And this is giving me, you know, so we've been back now in round 2 for a little while, and LCK has been very different in terms of the pacings of the games, as well as just other stuff that's been going on with like draft mix-ups and whatnot. Now, it hasn't totally morphed, but this is honestly like going back to round number 1, where nothing happens, we wait some more, and then the chair breaks, and the chair breaking that you're waiting on is actually what causes the fight.
Yeah. You wait, you go grab a bagel, maybe some coffee, and I know that there's what time is it
what
right
kind
now?
of coffee?
6:45. I like my lattes.
Okay.
I like milk with coffee.
Okay.
It's pretty good. That's what I'm on nowadays. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but when I do, that's what I'll go for.
All right, excellent.
But there's definitely a couple of guys that are on the East Coast of America who are staying up at 5:45 a.m. I used to do that myself, and sometimes, you know, when the sun rose, I also rose out of my chair and went down to Dunkin' Donuts or some kind of shop and picked up a bagel and some coffee.
Oh, right. I haven't had a bagel in actually a very long time. Now you make me want a bagel.
I went back to New York in January, and let me tell you, I ate a lot of bagels. Bagels, pizza, burgers.
Okay.
What else did I eat?
Slow down there,
Oh, that was a sick play by Tarzan, actually. We're going to have to hold the phone. He just opened this door on the game. My God. He is just going to dunk Baker in the jungle as they were getting pretty gritty, trying to steal that blue once again. Another guy behind enemy lines. Will he be seen this time? He's going to get out right at the last second. That's a couple of kills. Griffin with a couple of pickoffs, trying to come back in this one.
And so they managed to get to the pickoffs. It doesn't change the fact that they're still almost down 4,000 gold. And also, top tier 2 turret is on its last leg. Tarzan gonna come over. He's gonna pick up that scuttle crab, clear out some vision around his right-hand side jungle. The problem is that we haven't seen a real team fight unfold. Also, edge of... Okay. All right.
I said hold the phone earlier. I think they may have misinterpreted what I said. I did not mean pause the game. Guys, by the way, you can start now.
All right. Well, Valdez, what would you like to talk about here?
Well, I was going to talk about.
Welcome to the Pog State.
Yeah. What is this, episode 7?
This is actually the secret world, sort of like when you play Mario and there's the secret world.
Yeah.
Because we actually filmed the Pog State episode 5, and
true.
we did do that. It's just not out yet, or it is out, but not on YouTube. And now this is like episode 4.5.
Okay, you see, I thought we did an episode last week where we had a really long pause.
Nope, that didn't happen.
That?
Nope.
No, you've already blocked that out of your mind.
I don't recall.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Yeah.
Perfect.
I saw the Korean casters looking at the screen. I thought maybe we were going to get an update, but that's not the case. Yeah, I mean, I ate a lot of food when I went back to America. I gained, what was it, like 10 pounds, actually.
That takes effort.
Yeah, you know?
That is, wow. Okay.
Because I wasn't there that long this time.
Yeah, how long were you there?
Like 10 days? Usually I go for like 3 weeks. But this time I was like, well, I don't have much time. I need to fit all of my food into a much shorter time frame.
You ate 35,000 excess calories.
I mean, we were in America. It's easy. We're getting a look at the replay. And yeah, I mean, it was just a sick play by Tarzan. I thought maybe we were going to see some kind of bug. It seemed pretty straight up to me.
I'm not sure what the bug could possibly be. We do not know yet. And not too much is really going on. So how has the quarantining and social distancing been affecting you, Valdez?
So, I got a kitty.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit lonely during this time when you don't get to meet your friends very often. You don't get to go outside too often. So it's something that myself and my girlfriend had been talking about for a while, and we finally did it. We bought the kitty, and she's really cute.
Awesome.
Her name is Charlie.
Okay, where's that name come from?
Well, she's really full of energy, and she, like, we walked into the room and she immediately, like, jumped up and was, like, extremely personable and extremely just active. So we just felt like it fit, and it has, actually. She was a little bit shy when she first came home, but after, it's only been 2 days now, or no, actually that was yesterday. It's only been 1 day, and yeah, she's extremely comfortable now and really happy, and everything's going great. So really happy we did it. As we talked about the kitty, but now we have some highlights.
We have some replays in this game. This was effort dying as they did try the turret dive. This is where Valdez cut off. So Predator
died.
Yeah, Predator even was cast. Body slam to interrupt Kana. He was not gonna be able to do anything there. And then right here, Faker getting bounced down right back in.
Bounced down?
Bounced down, yeah. And then see?
Nice.
Then Gragas got bounced down.
I like bopped. That's one of my you know, Tasteless. He uses that a lot in his casts, and I've kind of stolen it a little bit. I love bopped, but Bounce Town, that's a new one. I'm also a bit of a fan.
All right. I feel like you were making fun of me for saying Bounce Town right there.
No, I like it.
I really hope that your jungler takes your blue buff.
Oh, I've seen much worse than that.
I hope that your blanket falls off while you're sleeping.
Oh, that's fine. I like that. That's okay.
Hope that you forget your phone under your pillow so that when you wake up and you try to flip it over to the cold side, it's already warm.
Whoa, that's you've taken it too far. Okay. I was okay up until that moment. That's not okay.
Hope you stub your toe.
Whoa. Whoa. Hey, stop with the threats. I'll have you know I stubbed my toe and I only cried for 20 minutes.
I actually stubbed my toe the other day. It's so unfortunate. It really is.
It feels bad.
It does.
Real bad.
Have you ever played basketball as a kid and the ball goes into your fingers and jams them?
What's basketball? What?
I meant
NBA Jam.
NBA. Yeah, I meant that game on the PlayStation. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. And sometimes, when it's a really hard, the game is extremely close. Sometimes I jam my thumb when I'm pressing the buttons too hard.
Does make sense.
Yeah.
Does sound like a bit of a problem.
You know what I could go for right now? Some Dudadunga.
Oh, that would actually be fantastic.
You know what would just add to this podcast is, I think that's what we need.
I wonder, that commercial is actually so good. And the real highlight is that there is clearly Pengu merch available inside of it. Because the Pengu there is plastic, right? So it must be like a miniature statue. And yet I cannot find it anywhere.
Yeah, and you have searched.
I have.
You have searched. You're one of the guys. You like your merchandise. And somehow, that's like $1 million idea. Imagine how many people would buy Pengu.
Yeah.
And we're talking Pengu figures, Pengu t-shirts. You can get a full body Pengu suit. Why not? You could even get a Pengu figurine. You could get like stuffed animal version, but also the one that's like, it looks cool and stuff. He's like doing a pose. Many ideas.
What is your favorite Pengu?
What are my options?
I mean, the ones from TFT.
I never used the Pengu.
What?
I used the digger guy. The guy with the shovel. You're not a fan? Not a fan of your silence, okay?
I don't think anyone's a fan.
Somebody had to give him love. Mole Diver. He's trying his hardest too.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine. Valdez.
Yeah,
I think that is a really excellent choice. I just want to let you know that.
For sure.
I think it's really good.
He's low-key
Oh, have you
top tier.
Played the new Fiddlesticks?
I have played against the new Fiddlesticks. It's very, I don't know, underwhelming.
Right? It is. My initial impressions on day 1 and then on day 2 mostly kept realigning, where it feels like he actually has less utility than the old Fiddlesticks, even though he's slated to have more. The fear on all of his abilities feels really unreliable in terms of how often you can keep applying it. And his damage is so lackluster without his ultimate. And even when you have his ultimate, because of the way that Fiddlesticks has to itemize, it's not dealing insane amounts of damage. The silence on his E, also a bit weird. Obviously, his clear speed and his health inside of the jungle, it's really good, but he can't 1v1 anyone. And he has to run for the hills if anyone shows up. So he's really vulnerable to many, many things. And even his gank setup is a little bit awkward. His effigy, I really like it. I think it's awesome that Riot has like a unique mechanic inside of the game.
Yeah.
But it ends up feeling underwhelming once you start hitting the mid game and the late game.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like he does much then. I've been seeing a bunch of laning Fiddlesticks as well.
Oh,
Is
we back?
Is this League of Legends?
interrupting our podcast? Yeah, I actually can't believe the audacity of the broadcast.
The nerve.
Yeah, throws a curveball like this.
They didn't even tell us.
Yeah, I know. Pull up, Valdez. You gotta tell us what's going on.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to watch some League of Legends. We really haven't had much action. You know, I'm kind of sad we had to pause when we did, because Tarzan just pulled off this insane play. And now it kind of gets people out of that zone where they have all the focus on him. But he's 2-0. He has a cloak. I forget what that item is called for some reason right now. But the blue cloak is what I like to call it. And he already has his Runic Echoes finished. He's doing really well. 2-0. And he was one of the guys that had a really good game in the jungle in game number 1. So it feels like at least Tarzan and Viper have brought their A game to this series tonight.
No, it really does seem that way. As Griffin, though, they are still struggling a little bit in this game to try to stabilize the gold deficit, as they are down about 3,500 gold. Oblivion Orb was picked up on Faker. And because an effort now down there at the Mountain Dragon, and this is really surprising. So T1 is actually going to be the ones that do end up getting it, and that is really valuable because several of their champions will build resistances. Azir will end up getting the Banshee Veil later on. Trundle obviously just going to be going to your tank, and then Jace, not sure if he will end up getting resistances, but I do think that picking up either a Guardian Angel or more Malmortier, or I can't even speak, a Maw would be really good, considering that you have 3 Mountain Dragons and you're going to have that bonus HP. But we'll have to wait till later to... He's just checking out the landscape. He wanted to bring his friends for a second opinion.
Yeah. Faker, he played, this is his second game for the season now. He looked really good early on in game 1, and things have gone downhill since then. Don't know what's up, but that is the way it has gone. He's got to be a little bit less aggressive, I feel like. He's just like flying off the handle. Like, you're never going to get that play onto a block. Unless he's in the shop, and then even then, it's like probably just going to double dash away and you're done. So, either way, you know, it's not like we were going to have any fighting during that time anyway, so he's totally fine. He's got his ultimate back, and the ping pong resumes.
Ping pong is resuming. Now, unfortunately, our podcast did stop, so...
True.
I have to think of a name for it, because Atlas and I, we have the Pog State, but then our Pog State is secret. Our Pog State
like
is
the secret.
We're like Romeo Juliet. You know, it's forbidden.
Are we?
I think so. You know,
is that where we're going with this?
That is exactly where we're going with it.
Forbidden love on the broadcast. That's what we can call it. Forbidden love. Sounds...
Wow, what an excellent name for a podcast.
Oh, man. It's okay. I'm sure we're going to have lots more episodes in the coming days here. If the meta continues to be the way it is.
Well, T1 is 2.5 minutes away from another Mountain Dragon capture, as we are just playing ping pong over and over and over and over. So this is definitely a bit surprising, as Blade of the Ruin King and Runon is on Teddy right now. I think he's going to be going for left. Okay.
Oh, the flash in. They get Tom, but he's got a lot of health, and now effort has to be pulled back. LeBlanc in the back here trying to go down onto Teddy, but Ucal has to flash away. Meanwhile, there's the blitz in the front line, but immediately just burst down is going to be the Senna, as Jace was the one member on the side of T1 that was really building up the items, and you can see just how much lethality he has right now. Just able to explode the Senna right away. and take down this turret.
Again, it looks like Viper didn't even know what to expect as the Shock Blast was coming in. Sun Turret still going to be there in mid lane. That LeBlanc looked invisible. That was really interesting as she was teleporting. UCal,
Remake?
yeah, is going to be able to get the top tier 1 turret. Let's take a look at this one more time. So they go for the pull on the top 10. No one hits the turret. So Cuz actually takes a couple of turret shots, and they can't go on forward. Now Kana watches Shock Blast right here, right into the Tahm Kench and the Senna as well.
You know, I think Viper autoed the minion by accident. He was trying to move back, and potentially could have had that Shock Blast locked, but there was one ranged minion that he clicked, and it showed him auto, and he was sitting still, and he just took the Shock Blast to the face. That would be unfortunate if that's actually what did happen. I know it's happened to me many times, but
Has it?
yeah. When you accidentally auto something. Have you ever clicked the minimap?
I used to do that a lot. I don't do it that much anymore.
Did you switch the side of the minimap?
I've always put on the left side because my right eye is blind. So,
Sight. It's real.
the name doesn't come from nothing, okay?
Actually blind. Another hook gonna come in here, but it's Tahm Kench, and he's a lot tankier than you are, Mr. Effort. Not going to throw him in this time as Teddy. As Effort decides, no, actually, I'm going to go backwards. I would not like to join the fight. UCal looking for the burst. I feel like he should have waited and potentially taken out Effort, but instead just going to chunk down Cuz from 75 to 10% health.
Now, T1 are very low on the HP department. As Cuz is recalling, he's going to try to run back. The hook did not manage. Okay, that hit. But, okay, Tahm just got, I believe, 14 armor. So, basically a cloth armor just off of that one mountain dragon. And I wasn't paying attention quick enough to his magic, so unable to tell you what the amplification was there, but that is definitely a lot of value.
Yeah, he was already quite tanky, but now he's really just hitting new levels. And that's just one mountain, as you mentioned. I mean, there's potentially 3 more that can be taken here on the map. Obviously only 2 for himself, if it does come down to it, but still. We'll see who does go into that. You'll see he does build the Glacial Shroud. He's just stacking the armor right now with the Dead Man's Plate, the Stone Plate, and also the Glacial. As another hook is going to come in, as Irove again is really not going to take much damage at all.
Kana is behind enemy lines here, going to have to flash. And T1, this is really not looking like them in terms of gameplay. They seem really overeager to do certain pick plays. Faker's going to come in here. They will kill Hoya. And now they're going to raise the Sun Turret in mid lane. They do have a cannon. And the thing is that if you get the middle inhibitor, you have to do something of value off it. That was a value shot. And I think
they're just pushing in. And you know what? Well, UCal is going to respawn, and so it looks like they're going to regroup here, wait for the minions, and potentially look for the end. As with the Azir, although the wave clear on the other side is pretty decent, so they're having a rough time of actually making the push work. So now on the chase here is UCal. The chain's going to land. Trying to get that extra slowdown before throwing out a cast. Not going to pan out. So just the inhibitor and one Nexus turret will go down in the mid lane here for T1.
And Griffin, I mean, now with only one Nexus turret remaining, that mid inhibitor will actually be valuable. As you can see, Hoya just way too far up in mid lane. Faker going for the Azir stack, manages to get it off. They raise the inhibitor turret. Replay cut off as Griffin just making sure that T1 is not on the Baron. This is a almost 6,000 gold lead here. T1 is being extremely reserved.
And after game 1, I don't blame them too much. Like, they were playing pretty reserved and passive and careful in game number 1, and then they just kind of threw it away. So imagine if they lost that way twice in a row to the 10th place team. That would be the worst feeling probably that they would have experienced in this entire split. So they want to try to avoid that. I'm sure they feel like the better team in this matchup, and they want to try to take a clean win in game number 2 here to bring this to 3 games. They do have Callista Azir, which is pretty insane at taking Baron. Not to mention Jace, and even Trundle is, you know, he's not building damage, obviously, but he's got the Q to go for auto attack resets. They have a really fast Baron, so it's definitely something that Griffin have to be careful of here.
Well, they are posturing around. They're playing so reserved right now, both parties. As T1, they rotate up the top. Okay, well, that's a hook.
Another hook onto Tom. He really doesn't seem to care. Kana trying to come on in here. They are going in this time, though. Tom is going to go down. Flash has to come out of here from Tarzan, but he will not bite the dust. As Hoya looking for that knockup onto Faker. Yukal trying to find the back angle, but it is not going to pan out here, as now they will look to push down the top side and potentially even down mid, as they have some super minions now.
Yukal is on cooldown for just a little bit. He doesn't have the Mimic available. And I think that they're trying to raise the turret. Another pull.
Flash in. Yeah, they're going to get Tarzan this time around. And now Teddy is just frontlining here. And this should absolutely be the game. As trying to get into the back line there was Hoya, but he is not going to be able to do it all alone. GG T1 will take game number 2 and bring us to 3 games.
Well, definitely a very slow game number 2. Very akin to game 1. This time, though, Griffin were the ones to misposition and get caught out a little bit. Blitzcrank pick ended up paying off in the end, although obviously there were some spots where it kept hooking the Tom and nothing ended up being achieved. Nonetheless, though, T1 finally do bounce back in the series. They win game number 2, and it's not even like this game was close. T1 was actually so far ahead at so many points in the game. It's just the nature and overall flow that is happening between these two teams. That is what is most perplexing.
Yeah, just a couple of just games that felt like a slow freight train, just slowly. I guess a freight train is generally used as a metaphor for something that's really fast, so I guess that doesn't really work. But we were slowly chugging along, and we eventually got there in the end. And yeah, that does mean we will get a game number 3. And Griffin, there were moments in that game where they did actually shine. I feel like Tarzan and Viper are getting sick of losing, is what it feels like, more so than anything else. And it's beginning to show. They're just trying their hardest, but sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah, sometimes it really isn't enough, and that's a really interesting point that you did bring up, is maybe Tarzan and Viper, I mean, even Yukal, well, although he did have stints of loss streaks in his past, Tarzan and Viper are not used to this in the last couple of years. Losing all of the time. They were constantly winning, except for in the finals. But in regular split, definitely this is a very big change of pace. Obviously, game number 1 was a massive upset. And I would say it was a steal, the way that it all did end up unfolding. Game number 2 had the same exact makings of it, though. T1 get really far ahead, very slow, paint does dry, and then eventually you have to finish room.
we get there in the end.
You get there in the end.
The room gets finished. And yeah, that was the one play where I was like, man, is Griffin actually going to come back in this one? And we see here, even in this fight, where Yukal's getting a good flank, there are moments where they look pretty good. And now watch Viper here. He's trying to go back. He autos the minion and takes a shock blast to the face. Probably would have died anyway. I don't think a little bit more movement would have helped too much. Nice play by Faker here. And the highlights are generally just pickoffs. You know, there weren't many. slow and steady the pace here for T1 to eventually grind out a win. Teddy, by the end of it, was pretty darn fed, if I say so myself.
And this was the final endgame push. There was no real way for Griffin to try to resist this whatsoever. No Tom Kench, Yukal doesn't have mimics, super minions, and even just regular minions in the mix. Another nice hook by Effort ends up killing the Gragas, and then the Nexus fell shortly thereafter. So, going into game number 3, T1 will be back on the red side. We'll see if we can get a more action-paced game out of them. Even though I like the fact that they've drafted better scaling than their opponents 2 games in a row, it does seem like they're being extremely reserved, and that is a little bit surprising. So either Griffin might just change it up in game number 3, or maybe T1, like Gen G did in the series earlier tonight, they might just take a draft that has a heavy pressure to accelerate in the early and mid-game stages, even though not a big fan of that on this.
Yeah, I would like some action in Game 3. If I can ask for one thing, T1 to just open up the gates and to get aggressive in Game number 3. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but we'll have to wait and see as we'll come back to Game 3 after the break.